Well, welcome to Watercolor Studio 42, and today I'm going to see if I can tackle one of these pictures on the front cover of a calendar here. This particular picture on the cover isn't one of the pictures that's included inside for the months, January to December. And but I looked at it and I said, what bothers me a little bit is when you look at this picture and the huge rock is just dead center. It's very distracting. And I'm quite sure the camera probably wanted to take us a little bit more up into here. Now the purplish clouds and the mountains off towards the top here kind of conflict a little bit with the green, and so I probably won't when I paint this in with the watercolors. I'm probably not going to use the exact same color. And I'm quite sure if you were out there, standing out there in this area, you probably would agree with me that that's really not the color. Okay, so I'm going to try to liven it up somewhat and maybe adjust the rocks a little bit. I want to take the viewer kind of up into here. See how it goes, and probably we'd end up over here probably for a focal point in this particular picture photograph. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit with it. You probably won't recognize it from the cover picture, but let's see what I can do. I'm going to leave this out here, and I started to do a little pencil work. Usually this is what I normally do. I start off light with the pencil and then sketch it, and then go from there. And I usually sketch it somewhat light enough so I can see it, but not so much is it good for the home TV. So let me just go over this a little bit. Sometimes I use a marker. I think the marker sometimes gets a little bit too heavy on the lines, and sometimes I have to white it out a little bit. So I'm just going to go over this a little bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this rock that's dead center here, and I'm going to move it over. Let's put it over here, a little bit more to the right of center. Put that rock, and I'm just making it darker so it shows up better. Now, I want to take you from here, and we're going to end up going up here, almost like a Z shape, or I might call it a number 2 sometimes. The number 2 is the way it moves. But nevertheless, let's put this rock in here. I think I'm going to put another one off over in here, kind of take us back up into there, and then maybe a third. I'm notorious for uneven numbers. I'm always saying 3 of this, 5 of this, whatever, uneven numbers anyways. So then there's a little bit of a land in the foreground here, and there's a little piece of land over there. Then there's sort of a cluster kind of right into here. I'm looking at that cluster of bushes, trees, and then you have a lot of trees. Oh my gosh, it's almost impossible to paint them all in, but I'll do the best I can. What you want to show on the trees is mostly the upper contours and this upper part of the tree that you want to show. And when you look down at the tree, it looks kind of a solid mass of green, various shades of green. Now, let's follow the contour of the mountain up here. Okay, it comes up like this. Interesting shape. That's why I call this up in here the kind of like the focal point right there in the photograph. So that's coming across. Then you got some other part of the mountain off in the distance. It goes way up over here in the upper right corner. Then we have some other lines that come down. I think I'm going to break this up in here somewhat, come across here, and something like that. Let's see what, I'm going to hide some of this with a taller tree. There's some pretty tall tree in that foreground. It's right in this area. You got some trees over here coming in from the outside in. And then you got, of course, there are some other trees over that break up that edge. So, I don't know. I think probably I've got enough information here to be able to start painting. I'm going to bring this line back here. I'm going to bring that across a little bit more. Something like that. Okay? I guess that's enough information. Now, usually when I do an outdoor picture, I always start from the top, do the sky, and then work down. Sometimes I'll put the sky in, and then if this is water, you notice the water here is reflecting a lot of green in it. Probably I might make it a little bit more blue of whatever the sky color is that I'm going to be using. Now we can wet this. If I want to put the sky in here, we just wet this little triangle shape, regular triangle up in here. Just wet that with water. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the blue I have here, and need a little bit. There you go. And I'm going to kind of drop that in there. You notice it's quite a difference from the purple. I'm quite sure the photographer or whoever made this picture, they tried to make it look creative, a little different. Okay. Now, if you wanted to make that look a little bit more purplish, you could do that by adding just a little speck of some red. Okay. Let's see what happens when I put just a little speck of red in there. All right. See what happens. Now that's a wet area, so I'm going to drop some red in here and kind of blend it in. See how you pick it up a little bit of purple by mixing it? See how that works? There you go. Now that's pretty dark, and that sky back there is much lighter. So having said that, take my paper towel. And we're just going to pick up some of that paint. Now the paper towel has a little texture to it, so it's going to look a little different. But what I was trying to do there is just lighten up the sky color. Now normally when this thing dries out at home, or wherever you happen to drop it off, it will change color. It will get lighter by the time you look at it the next day. Okay, so yeah, we got the sky in like that, and a little dash of red blends in with some of the blue. Looks purplish a little bit, but not as bad as that. Okay, now okay. Now we're coming down. in this particular photograph, they've got an awful lot of green, a lot of green through there. And so I'm just going to dash a little bit of this blue in through here and see if I can perk that up. Now when you put the water in and if the water's not moving much, it's like a mirror. So you're almost painting like the water, like like a mirror, looking into the mirror. Okay, just smooth it out, pull it out. Okay, now because I've got a little bit of red up there in the sky, let's just put a little pinch of that down here into the water. Blend that right in with some of the blue we have. Just a hint. See how that works? Now, I think myself personally, I've already perked this thing up a bit. I hope. I hope. We'll see what happens. But I do think I've kind of made it less, kind of dull. Okay, now we got a little bit of that in. Now we can put, if this is up to you, but you can take a little bit of your green. Let's see, I think I've got that. Yeah, this one's green down here. Let's see if we can dash a little bit of that, because we do have a lot of reflection of the background. Now, that's a little bit on the heavy side, but it is darker into here too. So we'll just pull some of that along. Take some of that out. I might even add a little bit more yellow to it. If the green is a little bit too much, let's put a little bit of, just a hint of yellow in there. Blend it right in with the wet paint there. And a little bit more up into here. See how pretty that is so far? So far, so good, I hope. All right, here we go. Put some of this in here. Okay. Now, experimenting with color, huh? All right. Now, what artists like to do for the most part, I think, is to make their paintings look more attractive. And sometimes, hopefully, more attractive to even the photography. Now, I have nothing against photography. I've seen some beautiful photography over the years, and I have nothing against it. I'm just saying that the artist can and has the opportunity to perk things up a little bit more. I'm just going to put a little dash of that brown in there too. Some of this raw sienna over here. That raw sienna was drying up in the tube quite a bit. I'll put a little bit more down in here. Okay. A little dash across there. All right. See what we can do. Yeah, there's a little bit of brown up in here. I'm doing a little bit more oomping the color than probably is actually in the picture. Now, there's quite a bit of yellow up in this particular cluster. So what I'm going to do here, let's put some yellow out here somewhere and take some of that green, not that much, and put some of that yellowish green. I think it's a little bit on the too green, but I seem like I can mix it around a little bit. Put a little bit more yellow in there. Now again, you can blot it. It does lighten it up a bit. And now you can come back with a little bit more yellow and blend that right into the green. See, I'm trying to make that much lighter shade of green in here. You can stipple with the brush, create some texture. You can even make it look, the bush there look a little bit more exciting, contour. Now usually around the base of the bush, it's always in the shade. So you can go a little bit darker with some of that raw sienna. Okay. Just put a little darker color in here. All right. I'm going to spread this out a bit too, along the contour here of the ground. We come right across here. I'm just putting some color in here for now. And there's a little bit of sand or something off over in here. So we could probably put a little bit of that in there. Make that a little bit light. Oops, too much green. Maybe that's what the camera did. A little bit too much in there. Okay, we perk that up a little bit more. All right. Now I can still lift out of here some of that color. I don't want it to get too greenish because I got a lot of other green to go with it. More or less break it up, kind of a contrast. Okay, just wiggle around here. This has got to be quite dark through here, right up around there. And put some darker color in there. I might use some of my Payne's Gray for that. Not that it should be, it shouldn't be really gray, but it's a sort of a deeper brown. But you know, what I do here is just kind of dabble around a bit. And you don't have to get too detailed. You just kind of make it a little bit choppy, a different shade. Needs more yellow there. Put some more yellow in. Oh, not so much of that. That's just yellow a little bit much. Let's give it a little tap over here. Pick some of that up, lighten it up a bit, and dash a little bit more green into it. Wiggle the brush around a little bit more. That's really making it quite a bit more noticeable. Then the picture's really, the photograph's really dark in there. And I always put a little bit of the wash across here. Kind of push up in there. We want the trees to be a little bit more pointed. Okay. Now I definitely, I'm purposely going out of my way to make this thing a little bit livelier. And sometimes I kind of push it too much. Maybe I do. But nevertheless, my idea of doing this today was just to show you that usually what the artist does is a distribution of color, and where you've used the color in one area, you repeat it somewhere else. Like for example, the sky, you put a little bit of the color of that on the water. The trees, they can reflect, or you put them over here, like in the foreground, right? It's a little bit dark. You take some of that out of there. Now that particular green, see how it has some blue in it? So, I want to get rid of some of that and put back some of that color that I have. So, let's put a little bit more yellow back into this. I'm forever mixing colors on the paper. Yeah, something like that. Now this is going to have quite a bit of green in it, and we could pick up some of that color a little bit over into here. I like to get some color on the paper, you know, get something. I think the scariest thing is looking at too much white. So, yes, we'll put some color back in there. Okay, we've got plenty of color. And I could push this, pull some of that out a little bit later to bring out some of the more of the texture. It gets a little bit dark here, and it is dark. So, we get some of this, get some Payne's Gray over here. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Oh, I don't know. Not exactly what I had in mind there. A little bit too much. Yeah. One thing about watercolor, you can always blot it if you don't like what you dropped on the paper here. All right, let's move along here. Get some of this darker color. Get some of that color in there. There's quite a bit of dark. There's always a darker color underneath anything, you know, under plants, little leaves and so forth, and so you always get a lot of that color in there. I just kind of wiggle around here. If it looks okay, I leave it. There's one thing you want to keep in mind, that you can always adjust whatever you're doing. You know, a lot of people say, oh, watercolor is not forgiving. Well, it is. And you just have to catch it a little bit sometimes before it can dry in or settle in. See how you can kind of push some of this. See how you keep building it up. And I'm certainly not trying to make it any particular solid color. I'm going to blot that. Got a handful of towel here. Let's hit that a little bit, pick that out of there. Okay, now this gets real dark over in here too. Let's see what we got. Put a little bit of that in there. This gets real dark in places. Quite a contrast. Take some of that out of here, and bring it off over in here. break it up. Kind of push things up a little bit, up into there. Okay? Now, this color here that I just put on, why not make this darker in the foreground? See, and I have some of that darker color on my brush. I'm getting a little bit of whiter color in there too. See what we want to do off here. Bring that in a little bit more. I don't mind leaving a little highlight in there either when I'm painting. Let's pull some of that out. Or up and out, right? Okay. Now, if you wanted to get it really fussy all day long, you'd fuss with each one of these areas, but where having just less time, I don't get too fussy. I sort of suggest a little bit more of what's going on here, but I don't get really too tight with the fussy detail. What you can do later on, after everything dries, then you take a little thin brush and you can come back and you can kind of suggest a little bit more of the contour shape of the leaves. Or I should say probably the not so much the leaves on a type of tree, but the needles and so forth, whatever. Oh, I just pushing the paint around a little bit more. Now, we definitely want to go up into here more, a little bit higher. Break this up into here. But you notice I'm keeping everything sort of a little bit loose and free here. A little bit more. There's exercises that you can do with a brush. I do a lot of pencil work, sketching, a lot of times, just to kind of loosen up a bit. And that's what you can do. This is going to be a kind of a larger tree into here. That's going to go up into there higher. Break it up. I'm not going to get too fussy with that right now. This is going to be darker right across through here. Okay, let's see if I can get some of that in there. And get a little bit deeper with it. Oh, not really. Okay, a little bit more of that in there. Right across through here. Break it up. And the other shoreline, excuse me, you don't want to make it too irregular, but it can be a little bit scratchy or bumpier. Across through here, way over here. See, I don't have the rock in there. The rock's going to be down lower. So this can be filled in pretty solid across here. And I wanted to save that shrub. I could probably bring it back later. And I'm just going to see if I can do something in here. Just a wee bit right in through there. And put a little bit more over here. Yep, yeah. Now, what else? What else? Okay. Let's do something like this. Fill this in with some color. Right in that corner. I think I could probably use a little bit more green or something in there. Now that's sort of a little bit reddish, isn't it? So if I do leave that, I don't want it to be that noticeable. And if I do leave a little bit of that color here, then I have to reflect it somewhere out in here. You're kind of carrying the color. Okay, now I could leave this the way it is, like open white water, but you know what? I'm going to quiet it down a bit through there. I'm going to put some color there for now. But I certainly have made it a lot lighter than the photograph. All right. Let's see, we'll do some more out here. Pull that in. I want to get a little bit of that ground color back over in here if I can. Just a wee bit of it. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can get enough of that paint on there. Just a little hint. Okay. Pull that out, pull it out over here. Okay. Now, this definitely has to have a lot of more work in there. Break it up. I'm going to have to do something else, probably with some deeper color that I can use. I want this to be filled in right to the tape, the edge here. Same way this side, fill that right to the tape. Okay. Fill this in a little bit more here. All right. Now where are we going with this thing? Let's go up into the mountains a little bit. Okay. Now, I'll get some little bit more Payne's gray into that. See what we can do. I think the sky's dry enough so it won't have a problem. Yeah. Not exactly the color I'm looking for yet. Ooh. I'm sorry. It's a pretty wild color here. Now, if I don't want that to be that stark, I can pull it over and push some of that color back up into here and take some more of that color out of here and bring it way back up in there. Okay? And I can always blot it, wet it, blot it, whatever I want to do with it. Okay, you get the idea of how that's kind of going to take place. Now, in the picture, the rocks in the foreground, they look a little bit lighter. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take some of my darker color, and eventually I'm going to put some shadow around that shape of the rock. Not so much like that. Take some of that out of there. Yeah, pull that out. But I'm going to have to make those rocks show up. I got this large rock here, and I'm going to have to bring that out more. Now, it may mean that I may have to paint into this, pull it out, make it a lot lighter, and then work some white acrylic into that, put some of the white back into the rock. That's probably what I'll probably do with it. And that will bring up that shape of the rock. Right now it looks too green. I'm making too much of an emerald here color. So that, I'm going to kind of let that set a while and blot it. Lighten it up quite a bit more. But eventually, I'm going to let that dry, put back some white. So that's going to need a little bit more work with it. Over here, if I want this to show up a little bit more, I just wet that. Again, try to find a clean spot on my paper towel here, and blot it. Okay. Now, certainly I've got to do a lot of more work up in here. I got to bring out a little bit more contrast and texture. You know, what's happening up in here. Pull some of that out. Pull down through here. Now that's going to need some work. But what you're doing is dealing with sort of the contrast. You get some of that contrast against the sky. I don't want it to be that much, so this is, again, you take some of that and pull that out. It's going to be a lot more grayish than it's right now. Everything's turning green on me here. And I think that's what happened to the picture too, the photograph. You got a lot of green. A lot of green up in there. But that's why they invented paper towels, is to blot it out. And I don't want it to be that much green. So we're going to have to kind of give it a lot of cleaning up here. I don't mind trying that. I don't mind trying that idea. I don't want it purple either. Just wiggle this around. Okay. Bought it. It definitely got too much green for what I'm trying to do. It's got too much green in it right now. But nevertheless, good thing they invented paper towels, huh? All right. Now, the beauty of watercolor is that, you know, I can let this sit here for a month or two, and once I hit it with water, I reactivate the paint again. And you can blot it out or paint on top of it darker. This is going to go up into here further too. That's going to go up in there further. Now, it seems like it's an easier painting to do, but it still needs a little bit more work with the texture to get that effect of the the contrast, the color, and all that into the picture. So sometimes I pull the tape so you can see it. With a border around it, but I'm not going to take that tape off because I'm going to have to work on this a little bit more, and I'll bring it back next time, show it to you. Hopefully it's next week. Here we go. Yeah, it just needs a lot more fussy work. Just, I certainly can't make it as fussy as the photograph, but I can kind of make it more, a little bit more outstanding. What's happening there? Okay, so. And get this even across here. I think see how dark it is here? I'll probably make that a lot darker through there too. Because around the bottom right now, what's happening here, this is too light. You need more weight to hold all that up. So this is going to be much darker through here. Right through here, and probably pull this out a little bit more in there. I'd like to get more of the sort of the brown sand in there, like a little beach area. So I'll probably pull that out more right through here, and I got tomorrow, I've got my friend coming over, and the weather's okay. We paint on the deck. In the summertime, I paint out on the deck. I've got an umbrella and so forth, nice table, comfortable chairs, and I work outside. And it's in the back of my house, and so it's shady, and that's where I paint outside. My lighting in the house is not that great. Not that great. And so I paint outside as much as I can. Of course, it's hard. In the winter time, you have to kind of improvise, create more lighting to be able to paint indoors. Okay, so you get an idea how we're coming along with this. I like to do landscape painting, and I'll tell you one thing, we've got a lot of national parks in our country, and there's some beautiful areas. One place I went to that I thought I'd never get that far west was the Grand Canyon. and on the south side. And I never thought I'd be able to get out there to see it, you know. But I had a chance to do that. My wife had a relative that worked for the some hotel chain, and she was working in out that way, Arizona, and so we stayed with her for a week and rented a car and took a lot of these day trips. And we got up to the southern rim of the Grand Canyon. Okay, this is, I got to do some work into here, but you notice that it's very light through there. I don't think it's snow though. I wouldn't be apt to be snow. Probably the texture of the rock, but it does need some texture here. This has got to be darker through here, darker through there. 1, 2, 3 areas that will need some work. Now, a lot of time when you do these things, you say, well, I can do this, probably paint this differently and paint it better the next time. Well, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. I found that a lot of times when I painted that the first painting was better than the next attempt. And sometimes it works okay. It works differently. Now, as far as size goes, this particular size here would be more or less, I think, this would be 11 by 14. That's a good size. And then you got your mat around it, you know. You can put an actual mat there. Sometimes I just make a false mat by taping it and pulling the tape off after. Then you have a very common size, 8 by 10. That's what most graduation pictures would be from high school and college and so forth. About 8 by 10, very popular size. And then another size, this is probably the smallest that I go, about the size of a card, and this would be 5 by 7. So sometimes I've gone to a quarter sheet, which is 16 by 20. Now a full sheet of watercolor paper is 22 by 30. Pretty good size sheet, maybe this area here of the table. So, I haven't done too many full sheets because I think probably to turn around to buy a frame for it is a little bit more expensive. So I've usually gone 16 by 20s down to this size. Now, I used to frame my work, and then of course I used to put an actual mat around it too. So you've got the painting, the mat, and the frame, and whatnot. And then, of course, watercolor, you have to cover it with plexiglass or actual glass. But sometimes if the painting is too large, the museums, if you put it on exhibit or whatever, they'll have you use plexiglass because they're afraid somebody will knock the painting off the wall. A little child could get, walking by, might bump it, or anyone could bump it and get hurt with all the glass. So sometimes they require you to use plexiglass. But watercolors, you do have to protect it under glass, because like I said, once you hit it with water, it's going to, affect it. And so reactivate the color where you don't want it to be reactivated. So this is off to a pretty good start. I've got an awful lot of green in it. I'm influenced too much by the photograph. But what I'll try to do is lighten it up a bit, put in darker areas of not green, but maybe some deeper color, Payne's gray or something, or whatever. And then clean up the up through here, the mountains and whatnot, and take the tape off, bring it back next week and show you how I finished it off. Tomorrow, if the weather's good, I will be painting outdoors. Tomorrow, what, Friday? Yeah. Yeah, I'll be painting outside. And then probably Saturday also. I don't think we're planning to go anywhere Saturday, so I could probably work a little bit Saturday, and then Sunday, of course. Yeah, so I have a little bit of time off to paint. And I'll finish this up. Right now, we're a little bit running out of time. Now, what you have to do sometimes is make sure you have the right colors, practice mixing your colors, and so forth, and a distribution of color. Now I've got a couple of seconds here. Let me just do something here. I do this all the time. So I want to show you something. You start from the outer edge, right? And you don't know what in the world you're going to be making. You don't really know what this is. You can go this far. You can take it, turn it around, look at it from different, angles. And if you see something in it, then you can start painting it. I always find something like a head, an arm, a leg, or whatever, piece of furniture or a background. And then if you don't have enough information, just come back into the picture again and see what else you can add to it to bring out what you're looking for. Turn it around, look at it again. It takes a little time sometimes to use your imagination. And then, of course, you can decide how you're going to paint it in, whether you're going to just put some little washes of color, and I'll just use what I have here. You can decide how much you want to put into it. And this can be just the background, a light wash, and then what you do is kind of build up on top of that. Now, this is very spontaneous painting, but what I was trying to emphasize also today is the distribution of color, and that's what holds the painting together. When you've repeated that color 1, 2, 3 times, 4, 5, whatever, different areas that you can fill in and whatnot. And sometimes these things come out pretty good. And it's only a matter of seconds, just dropping paint on the paper. And you can let it dry. And after you've let it dry, you can go on and see if there's something else that you can add to it and build it up, so forth. But that just gives you an idea. So I've run out of time. So brush it up and we'll see you next week. Thank you.